Alrighty, well, let's get this going. My name is Josh Parker. I'm an outside sales rep here at Baywa. I would like to introduce Majed and Keith from Polar Racking. Polar is a long-standing great partner here at Baywa, and we're excited to have a chance to learn with them here today. Continuing education is important to Baywa, so we really appreciate you attending and taking the time out of your busy day to join us. And Polar, if you have any questions, be sure to type them in the questions box. We will answer any questions here as we go, and then also have a Q&A for anything that might have been missed at the end. On that note, can I have somebody throw a test in the question box just to make sure everything is working here? Awesome, seems to be working. Lastly, this will be recorded and shared on our YouTube channel. As well, it will be sent out in our monthly newsletter. If you haven't already, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find all of our webinars on there. Yeah, with that being said, I'll pass the reins over to the Polar team to get things going here.
Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate this. I'm just trying to restart my slides. So here you go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, yeah, we can see it. It's looking good there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Majid Asfoura. I'm actually the Inside Sales Manager here at Polar Racking. Actually, today's webinar is going to be because we have just received a great deal of interest in our CoreFlex ground mount system and Shield Solar Carports. So we wanted to use today's webinar to explain these products in greater detail. Our goal is to show how these systems can simplify solar project design, procurement, installation, particularly for the small and medium-sized projects. Both products lines are available through Baywa, and we appreciate Baywa's support in organizing today's session. Today's presentation will be delivered by myself and Keith Roy. I'm supporting Polar Racking's customers through the early opportunity stage, including budgeting, product selection, quotation, coordination with our engineering and project management team. Of course, Keith, he's our senior construction manager here in Polar and has extensive experience with solar construction, installation planning, foundation, quality control, and field execution. I'll begin with a brief introduction and company overview, and then I will hand over the presentation over to Keith for the detailed product and technical discussion. Okay, so about Polar, here's what also we will cover today. We will begin with a brief overview of Polar Racking, and Keith is also going to explain how CoreFlex is suited for small and medium-sized ground mount projects, followed by an assembly video showing how the system is being installed. After that, he will be introduced also our Shield Solar Carport system, including the available structural configurations and options. He will also discuss the foundation selections and how site conditions, soil conditions, wind, snow, and frost influence the appropriate foundation solution. We will conduct with the questions and answer session. So please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation. Okay, now for this slide, I'm gonna give a quick view about Polar. For those who might not be familiar with Polar Racking, our company was founded in 2009 and has supported more than 4 gigawatts of installed solar projects so far, and we are keening to approach more than that. Our projects are primarily located across Canada, United States, and Caribbean. Uh, Luckily, also we could be able also to get some projects like overseas. I mean, like internationally, like in New Zealand, Australia. We are trying to expand, and because of our experience in the Canadian market, we understand that the challenges also associated with high snow loads and wind loads, frost conditions, and difficult soils. Our systems are engineered based on the specific conditions and requirements for each project. We have offices in Toronto, Montreal, and Calgary, and we supported commercial, community solar, and utility scale solar projects. In addition to racking, we provide also structural engineering, technical supports, geotechnical services, foundation support, installation assistance, and project management. This allows us to support customers from the early design stage through the construction and the installation. With that introduction, I will now hand over the presentation to Keith, who will be take us through Polar Racking's products offering and begin with CoreFlex ground mount system. Um, Keith, back to you.
All right, thank you, Majed. So if to go to the next slide, we'll start on the products we offer. So CoreFlex is the main one that we've dealt with BayWa. This is our fixed single table ground mount. The advantage of this system is it's pre-engineered and very universal. The Core is our large scale. So that's utility scale ground mount that is very site specific, project specific, location specific. Everything is unique to that project. We offer foundations for all projects as well. So do helical piles, ground screws, driven, and ballast options. Big advantage of that is because we offer all the foundations, we don't set the foundation, or we don't set the racking. We determine the foundation we need first, and then a racking adjusts to all those. So we don't try to force a ground screw into a gravel pit. We don't try to use a driven in the sand pit. We use the right foundation for the right sites. Shield, which is our carports. Those are the ones that are really taking off lately, and also the one big interest for BayWa as well. We are doing large scale carports, as you can see in the picture below. We're also working on like more of a CoreFlex idea where it's a pre-designed smaller option, and we keep getting closer and closer to getting that one out. So as the interest grows, we get closer to releasing that as well. Finally, our single axis tracker, which is our large scale projects. We use are installing a lot right now in the States. That's where I currently am, just upstate New York, Connecticut, all over the Midwest. So we'll move to the next slide there, and we'll start on the CoreFlex. So like I said, CoreFlex, beauty to it is it's already pre-engineered solution. It's galvanized steel. It integrates with a large majority of the available modules. All the modules that BayWa provides are compatible with the CoreFlex system. It can stand alone. So the big advantage to that is you don't need to have drawings. You don't need to have a layout. You could literally show up to site, say, hey, I want to move it 10 feet to the left, and that's fine. You can have the tables, if you have multiple tables, you can change the spacing, change the layout depending on what you find on site. That is the huge advantage of the CoreFlex system, is each independent table could stand completely on its own, and it was already approved for the engineering drawings as well. We are UL certified, and it's fully integrated bonding and wiring as well. Next page. So for the rack that is provided by BayWa, it's a kitted rack with 2x8 fixed tilt. So this is pre-stamped for pretty much everywhere. East-west purlins are pre-punched for wire management and for all the module options we talked about briefly before. So it basically, you don't have to know what modules you're going with. You don't have to know your wiring plan. You could build the rack and wire it later. We are stamped for basically every province except for Quebec. So it is very compatible with most markets. Next page. So with it, you get your installation manual, your data sheet, your stamp drawing, foundation guide. In this case, we normally don't provide the foundation. Most people like to source their own based on where they are and what's available to install. You just have to have a certain quality of foundation to mount to, and it has a 10-year warranty document as well. So you get the full package, the racking, everything you need to submit to the cities or final customer. Next page. So as you see, it has a list of the compatible modules, codes. Basically, we use Magni coding for all our hardware, so it doesn't interact with the metals. We can, again, any foundation you need to install on, helical piles, ground screws, ballasted, and again, you can see the ranges of modules on the right. Basically, anything from 990 to 1135 millimeter for width, and thickness anything from 26 to 55 millimeter or 50 millimeters. So that covers majority of what's on the market. There's a few new modules that are coming out, but as always, we come up with an adapter for that as well. So as you can see, it's basically on the bottom right side there. You'll see the grid is just a 2x8. You got basically split into two 2x4 sections, and just that gap will change depending, in the middle will change depending on the size of the modules you have. Next page, please. So here, just more of a technical drawing. This is what you're going to get is your stamped letter. So it comes pre-stamped for you as long as you're using one of those modules in the column on the right. It's very hard to see in this page, but it allows you to have all your installation done correctly, have a compatible module, and have everything you need for the cities to approve your final construction. Next page, please. Again, here's another component level drawing. So now you can see how things go together. We do have videos, we do have trainings. If you have a larger project, we can actually come and train you. But we also do trainings at BayWa. We are actually going to show you a short video of a training we did for BayWa here in Toronto. So that's what's going to come up. But here you have the part levels. So let's say you have a damaged piece, a missing piece. Something happens, you ran it over, you know what piece it is. And also this will help you for the assembly as well, knowing what parts you're supposed to have and where they're supposed to go. It'll give you the torques, it'll give you all the requirements, and then the foundation tolerances are listed on here as well. Next page, please. Here's all the connections that you're really going to look at. So this has a lot of helpful hints and tips. So basically the bolt patterns you're allowed to follow, how things connect on a smaller level, and also shows you the adjustabilities in the system as well. This system is almost always mid-clamped for the CoreFlex, but if you were to do another option, that would be provided separately. But this system is clamped for the BayWa purposes. Okay, and then just the general overview. So you have your foundations or posts, your north-south beams, your braces. Very helpful information to know when you're unpackaging everything. Some of the legs look a lot like north-south beam and vice versa. So you just want to make sure that you're separating the parts out properly and not trying to build the table with your north-south beam as a leg. It gets very awkward when you're looking for that final leg and found out you used it as a north-south beam somewhere else. But the holes are very self-explanatory. When you do see them, they are very different, but they can be confusing the very first time you do it. One more page. Again, here's our adjustability. So the big thing with our system, because we are a Canadian company, we know that ground doesn't always listen. It can be more stubborn than most of us. So you have all your adjustabilities. You have 2 inches, plus or minus 2 inches up, down, vertical adjustability in the Z plane. In the north-south plane, you have the ability to slide forward using the north-south beam. You also have further adjustability in the vertical plane on the top of the legs as well. So this allows you to really build the site however you need to build it. As far as east-west adjustability, there's the purlins all have about a 6-inch range to hit. So you have 3 inches or 7 inches according to this. So 3.5 inch plus or minus 3.5 inches for the east-west adjustability as well. So you also get another 1/2 inch adjustability in the bracket. So there's a lot of adjustability. If you have your foundations perfect, awesome, it's a quicker install. But if you have that foundation that was just a bit too low or a bit too high, you can always accommodate for it with the adjustability in the racking system. So we're just going to show you a quick video. I'll talk over it as we go through it. Maybe if you mute it when it plays there, Majed, but just playing some music. This is the slideshow that we did, or not slideshow, this is the assembly we did for Baywa here in Toronto. Want to just play that, Majed? I'll just keep talking over it. Just mute the top right corner there. There we go. So this is how your package will come. All the parts are in the. You want to just play that? It's paused on you again. There we go. It comes all prepackaged. It comes as one pallet, I believe. I think there's a pallet plus a box of hardware. This is, you're going to see us do a parking lot presentation. So this would be more like a ballasted system. The foundations are a bit wobbly, so it is actually a lot easier to install on foundations than it is to install in a parking lot. This video is going to be about 1.5 minutes long, but we were able to build this whole table, even put a few modules on in 35 minutes for the Baywa team. This was included me talking a lot, letting some customers get their hands dirty, get their hands in there as well, and touch the rack. It comes together pretty quickly. You have your A-frame structures, which you see going up there. That's what takes the brunt of the load. And then you have your north-south beams that tie it all together. So again, a ballasted system, this is where it's very unstable. But when you're doing this as a fixed tilt in the field with either helical or ground screw foundations, you're able to do that. So again, you can also see we didn't have to use any equipment to build this. It was just all step ladders and muscle. So if you're doing a site where you don't have access with heavy equipment, that's perfectly fine. If you're building one of these tables, like I said, we did this one in under an hour. So you're able to get everything built. You can have your site already and don't even need to get any heavy equipment back there as well. So it's a very easy, straightforward system. It's very rigid, very forgiving. The foundations are very easy to deal with, and it's just a very straightforward system. Next slide.
Hey, we did have a couple questions here, Keith, if you don't mind. Yeah. First one is, where do you mount the inverter on the racking? Do you provide inverter plate or do installers use strut? Kind of what are you seeing out there?
So normally we ask do you guys get permission to drill any holes onto our system? If you're doing a round post, we do have a single post option as well, which we sell through Baywa. So if you're doing a single post, we have saddles that mount to the round post that you can mount directly off of. Traditionally with something like this, everyone just runs like some unistrut across the back on one of the legs. The dead load is almost always accepted. There's very few cases where we don't allow it. Just always ask permission, but the general rule of thumb is if you make a hole and fill it with a bolt and unistrut, it's not going to hurt the system. Again, it also depends on how much you're mounting as well. I wouldn't go and put 20 inverters on the back of one table. And if you're doing a larger site, that sometimes does need some more support. But if you're doing a smaller system with a smaller inverter, almost never an issue with that.
Perfect. And then another one here is what is the layout if there's only going to be 2x7 panels? Where should I leave a spot empty, left, right edge? Is it more just dealer's choice? Do you have any recommendations there? Or?
Dealer's choice, just as long as you're using the proper clamps. There's end clamps and mid clamps. So yeah, dealer's choice on that one. If you want to leave the top two corners open, that's perfectly fine. If you want to, make a smiley face, you can do that too. It's all up to you guys. We don't have a preference. The more you reduce the panel area, the lower you make the load. So it actually just reduces or increases the strength of the system by removing panels.
Perfect. Well, that is it for now.
Okay. So what I'll go to now is part of the CoreFlex is the foundation. And this is normally where most of the questions will be. But basically, we allow any foundation to be used. If you're in an area where they have this pile installers already, that's probably the best for your area. We've done projects where we go to a site and they say we only have the ability to drive piles on this island or this area, and normally it's because that works there. So if you have an area where you have helical piles, access to helical piles, that's nice, quick, easy solution. Grouted posts are fairly common in this smaller market because you're not doing the scales that you would be from doing a 60 megawatt site where you have 18,000 piles. So you're not worried about the cost of 4 foundations for grouting on smaller sites. Driven is fairly common. Those ones are normally in slightly warmer climates. The frost action on driven piles is significantly hindering for a lot of the northern sites, but it's not impossible. And then ground screws are the more versatile option. They pretty much go into almost anything except for sand and gravel. That's one spot they always get refused and don't have the strength to stay in. Ballast is another option. That's one of the more common sites for oil fields when you don't know exactly where that pop can line is, or fill sites where this area might be 6 inches of topsoil and then 20 feet of garbage, or it could be a mattress. You don't know what's under there. So something like a ballasted option is normally used for when the ground conditions are unknown. There are a few cases where ballasted options are used because that's what's available as well. So again, another island project, they use ballast because the only thing they could get there was they had a bunch of blast rock, they had a bunch of riprap, and they use that for the ballast as well. So it's any foundation works for us. Just has certain load and strength requirements you need to meet, but most foundations will give you that requirement as they need it. And our system is fully integratable with all options. I-beams, they mount to the side. Round posts, we have saddles. Most ground screws or helicals will have a top plate which we mount your foot to. So all options are available.
Hey, just for the tolerances on foundations, you going in, you hit bedrock on one, then you're out of tolerance and everything else. Is there a general rule of thumb for, what they might be out for tolerance and everything else there?
Yeah, so there was actually a slide slightly earlier that showed the tolerances exactly, but with that one, you basically have, as long as you're using our existing holes, you're good. So you want to have plumbness of 1 degree. You can always get exemptions. So things you don't need exemptions for are 1 degree, 2 inches east-west, 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches east-west, 2 inches north-south, 1 inch, 1 degree, and then 4 inches vertical. So you have a very forgiving ranges in there. Also, our legs do have secondary forgiveness as well for settling. So you can, if you use up your settling forgiveness though, you're not going to have it later when you do need it if it does settle. For example, a ballasted solution or some softer ground conditions.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So the other one is big one is the wire management. We can use our C channels for running your east-west, your home runs, all that fun stuff. It's very easy and safe to do. You can easily take the load of any project that we're talking about in this phone call. If you do get into, like, again, the 70 megawatt sites, the wires do get exponentially heavier as they compound on the rows. But for anything that's going to be CoreFlex related, the wire management is just into there. We have wire mounting holes as well, so you can strap your wires in. I believe they come every 1 foot now. They used to be a bit further apart, but we're giving more options for wire tie options just so it stays in there. And then there's also, if your area requires rodent protection as well, there's already been solutions. So we've implemented to keep the rodents out as well. So everything is done, everything's fully integrated. The only thing you have to do is just do a jumper from table to table if you have multiple tables. And that can be either directly done through the tables if you're close enough, or when you run your strings through the conduit, you also run a bonding wire through as well. There's also drainage holes so it doesn't store the water. Next is our clamping. So again, like I said earlier, the CoreFlex is almost exclusively a clamp option. With that, it allows to deal with different thicknesses of modules. If you had direct bolts, there's different hole sizes, there's different hole spacings. The options would be exponential. So we use the clamping option because it's the most generally accepted for multiple panels, and more universal because some panels will have The modules, exactly 500 mils in from the edge, but this panel is 1192 and this one's 1180. So now they're 8 inches or 6 inches, 6 millimeters different. So they won't quite work. So with the clamping method, you're able to use a lot more module options as well. As far as integrated bonding, there's a little bonding weave. You can kind of see it in the bottom left picture, that circle with the dots. You can see the pattern. Basically, the rule of thumb is every single panel has to have 2 points of bonding. So what you have is the exteriors, you're going to have all 4, and then the next rows you normally just do. I normally do the bottom ones because they're easier to reach than the top ones, but in this picture it shows the top ones, and then again on the far right all the exteriors as well. So just again 2 points of bonding for all tables or for all panels. They're top-down bolts, so it's a carriage bolt, and you just torque them from below. So what we have, you can go to the next one. It's done. Let's go to the next one there. Thank you. Yeah, so as you can see here, here's a system that was bought and purchased. They did their own layout. They could have moved this any way they wanted. They could do any spacing they wanted. Like I said, each table works individually. So it could stand out in the middle of the field on its own or be in a row like this. You can set your gaps, you can set your depths, you can set your inner row spacing, and you can change the number of rows based on the string size. This one here, I believe was a helical site, but you can see it could be completely compatible with ground screws or driven as well. We are already taking into effect all the snow and wind loads for basically every area. I believe the only area still that we can't do is Pincher Creek, just because it would make this system exponentially more expensive for you guys. But if we made it work for Pincher Creek, then it would no longer be feasible for you guys on every other location in Ontario and the rest of Canada. So this system is already stamped, so yeah, there's no need for a third-party engineer for getting this done as well. So next slide. So here's the requirements we'll give you for the foundation you install. So these are normally very obtainable loads to meet. Most installations in your area, they'll know their loads, they'll know their abilities, but the moment is probably the biggest one on the single leg system, and that's why you'll see the single post normally be like a helical, a lot more common at West, but that's installed with a bigger rig as well. So just make sure when you're acquiring your foundations that it can meet these loads. Okay, now basically we've got your pass fail. This was a lot more important way back when we had smaller areas that are compatible, but you can go online and check out your local snow load, rain load, and wind load for your area. You're going to end up with a plot outside of or on this graph. And as you can see, Edmonton, Alberta falls well within the line, but Pincher Creek falls outside. So I believe this is less important now. We used to teach you guys how to use this, but because Pincher Creek is the only area that doesn't fall into this pass zone, then you're compatible. So this is a good check to have in case you do have a municipality that we haven't worked with that might have a higher wind load requirement than what Environment Canada has, or the building code has, but we haven't seen that yet. And I don't mean to jinx it, but Pincher Creek is the only area that can't be built in. So again, this is just back where you're able to see the frost depth. So you're going to see the frost cycles. This is a good thing to have for your foundations to make sure you're getting the right type and getting the right frost depth. So if you're doing a helical, you got to make sure your blade is below your frost depth. So you want to make sure that your foundations are proper, but this is just to make sure that you're on the foundation side before you build the racking, that the foundation is compatible to your climate you're installing to. One thing we do offer as well is a desktop site evaluation. So if you are having questions about what foundations to use, what things you can do, we can do a desktop study for you. So you normally look at the groundwater table. From there, you have your well records for the local area. You're able to compare actual site conditions. So if you have a test pit or you've done some trenching, or the farmer, they almost all know their land. They'll know if it's cobble or sand, or you hit bedrock at 12 feet out there, or 4 feet depending on sections of the field. That's the kind of thing where a desktop evaluation should get us very close to helping you if you need help designing that foundation or acquiring that foundation as well. So again, there's many different foundation options. All of them have their advantages. Basically, the ground screw is great for groundwater, surface obstructions, and bedrock, but does not work in gravel or sand. Helical piles are great when there's wet surfaces, um, uh, or softer surfaces like sand, swamp, um, softer clays. It works great in. And then micropile doesn't work in water, but it's pretty universal as far as being able to be compatible with almost any surface. You just need to be able to pour concrete in it as long as it's not wet, and then that concrete design will be dependent on what you have. So for example, a soil it's very sandy, you're going to see a larger, heavier micropile. Something like a bedrock, you're going to see literally just enough concrete to bond your steel to that hole you just drilled. So it really is more versatile, but again, on the larger projects, not cost effective. Next one.
I got a question here too,
Yep.
Keith. Do the new ESA requirements for fencing around the large ground arrays apply for these installs as well?
This one we kind of leave with, that's something we don't really get into too much. We have such a wide area, so many municipalities, so many countries that we work in right now. We're currently building in 7 different countries, every province in 32 states. So we don't keep track of everyone's requirements for that. So that one we do actually pass back to you to investigate what your local requirements are for fencing.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, now the big one. This is our relatively new project or product. We've been doing carports for a while, but they've been fairly large structures. A lot of them down south, Texas, Connecticut, all those areas. A couple in California this year, but we are also been talking about this with Baywa for a very long time, of doing a smaller option for Baywa's customers, and having a CoreFlex type package eventually as well. Again, I always seem to say this, we're not quite there yet, but we are looking at, for example, if you want to do like a 3-car port, having it as a package like we would have the CoreFlex. So Shield is very site specific, just like everything else. It does have a lot more codes to evaluate, because vehicles and people do regularly travel under these. So there's certain height requirements based on certain areas. Now this is where we will take on the responsibilities. If you have a carport, we will look at the local requirements for it. So for example, there's a couple carports that we did down in Jersey where they had to be a certain height to allow for the larger fire trucks for that area to be able to fit under it, regardless of whether that fire truck would ever go there. It needed to have that ability. So that is something where we take on that responsibility of making sure your local building code is met for the structure itself. But as far as outside, like the fence, we don't have. Now, again, a shield would never have a fence, because the whole function of it is to be high and out of reach. So that's its protection, is being out of people's reach by being just higher. We have a ton of different designs for the system, but we can do many different heights, lots of different spans, and again, different snow loads as well. So some shapes you're not going to get in Ontario, where you get 2 to 3 feet of heavy snow, because the snow won't shed if you use a Y version, right? But if you're building one down south, building one in Vancouver, you could get away with a multi-peaked function or multi-peaked structure, because you aren't too worried about snow load. We'll go to the next page, and then I think that'll show some of the designs as well. So here you can see multiple options here. You've got the larger one on top there. That's on top of I believe that was the top of a parking garage. So we're able to get even higher off the ground there, build on top of other structures. You got the one on the right, which is a 2 megawatt or sorry, that was 1 megawatt. The second one is going to be built shortly, but single structure. So there is not a single gap in that system. So that is all under the Texas sun, protecting all the cars for the factory there. So that's down in San Antonio, Texas. Up the top, you see a school where they had a very odd shaped lot where they had 4 different shapes and styles of carport, but this allowed them to have their generation peaked as well as protecting as many vehicles as possible. And then see bottom right there, small structures as well, just protecting a single row of cars. Just comes in all sizes. So we do giant single structures, we do multiple smaller structures, and we do single small structures as well. So like you mentioned, there's different options for different areas. So T structure would be normally a single car depth. This is where you'd have access from one side only. A T structure is where you'd be going down the center row, and you'd be accessing um, basically protecting cars on both sides. A Y structure, previously mentioned earlier, you're not going to really build up north. Or Y structure, yeah, you're not going to build up north because that would trap the snow in the middle, so you have nowhere for your snow to shed. Checkmark structure, that kind of just slows down the water or snow from shedding off. Again, if you have a larger area where you need that snow to shed off, you probably wouldn't go with that design. Most commonly, the L structure, T structure, and long span structures are the most common, especially in the northern climates. And then the pi structure, which allows for water management as well down the middle. So again, if you're building somewhere where you have a lot of heavy rain, again, like Vancouver, you would do something like a pi structure where you can collect the water. It's not dripping on people as they walk at the back of their vehicles, but it also still collects the water in the middle and can shed it if it needs to. So we do waterproofing as well. So most of them, you can just have the structure and you get a little bit wet underneath if it rains, but you can also do waterproofing as well that actually completely blocks out the water. So you could actually be waterproof underneath. This system you'd normally add on a trough system as well to collect the rainwater. So you have no water going through that's not through your troughs or through your own control.
Got a question here, Keith. What is the minimum size carport Polar would do?
I don't know if there is a minimum. Majed, is there a minimum?
So basically, for any inquiry from BEWA, no, there will be nothing. So we are open to verify any inquiry, and then we can help in giving the techno-commercial support on this one. So let's leave it, I mean, like case to case, but for now, it's like, no, there's no limitations for any size. So any inquiry is most welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, so normally a limiting factor on this is you're still going to need at least 2 foundations. So if you're putting up 6 panels for 2 foundations, you got to really make sure that's working or feasible. But again, if there's any design that would work, because everything is custom, you can see that one slide from earlier. I think it only covered 8 cars, and that was just a 2 panels wide. So it was maybe a 2 by 24, I think, is all it was. So it's not that big of a structure. Not even much bigger. It'd be like putting 3 CoreFlexes side by side, just 12 feet in the air instead of 3 feet in the air. So there's also a lot of optimization as well for the system. So if you, like I said, mentioned before, there's some ease troughs you can see on this one where they're collecting all the water. They did an underdecking instead of the top mount gaskets. So we've also done them with lighting as well. So there's tons of options. Basically, you can be as basic or as intense as you want with your design. We can entertain everything. So this you can see is a long span structure on the left that says 2 posts, spans the whole length and with a constant slope. Or you got the one on the right, which is a T structure, which overhangs one side more than the other, and normally sheds the water past the back of the vehicles. So this would be more useful for multiple facing sites. So if you have, more of an east-west orientation, you're going to do something like a T structure here. So we also have snow management as well. This is to make sure that, like I said, if you're shedding the rain, you also have to shed your snow, but also you want to control that shed. So you don't want to have, 3 feet of ice fall off onto someone's car or someone on a person. Like I said, because this is a managed structure, they do have to have it's a different building requirements than a CoreFlex system would be. So you do have to make sure you're being safe as well. So we do have snow guards to help slow down the shed of snow and prevent a large ice slab from falling off onto someone. The other option we do as well is custom coating. So when you get into the carports, everything is custom. I don't think we've ever built 2 carports the same unless it was 2 mirrors on the same site. But every site is somehow different, either different panels, which changes your spans, different tilt because of your orientation or location, or different finishes, different options. Here you can see was a powder coated. So we are able to change the coating as well, whereas the most systems we do are set based on where you are. It's either going to be G90 or better based on your location to the ocean or local conditions. But because the carports are all custom, the coating can be custom as well. We're also doing some carports for universities and sports teams, and so they're being done the color of that team. So here's the lighting as mentioned earlier. So they added some lighting onto all the structures. The purlins can be used as mounting fixtures for the lighting, so it can be lit as little as, or as much as you need to. So it's very compatible and flexible that way. We just ask again, you get it approved by us if you're doing it by a third party to do the lighting system as far as how do they mount it. And then there's also the EV charger option. So because these are all custom designed, to make EV mounting ports is very common as well. Because of the nature of the industry, the two go hand in hand very often, carports and EV chargers. So again, that giant one down in Texas, they had a whole corner dedicated to EV chargers. So that's something that's compatible. We work that into the design to make sure that foundation, if it's taking the extra load of inverters or transformers or anything, we can count that into the design. So the common application for carports that we've done already is for top of building, as we showed in the one picture. They're extending the top on a parking garage, the EV charger stations. So those ones you actually will see a lot of smaller ones. I think that one from the slide that showed our different projects from earlier was a charging station. So that's why it was only doing about 8 vehicles. But again, it was charging those vehicles at the same time. The factories, for example, they're protecting their employees while they're at work. Stadiums are a huge one for us right now. They're trying to show their spirit, trying to show off their solar, and their carports are a great way to show that they're going green and also support their team colors as well. And then we're also starting to use kind of a carport type option for agrivoltaics for cattle. Most CoreFlex systems or core systems just aren't tall enough, so they require that extra strength. But we already had the design with the CoreFlex, so now, or the shield, so now we can start using those for larger livestock as well. All right, so got through that one a little bit faster than I planned on the carports, but I still have 14 minutes left. If there's any questions or concerns, again, maybe one thing we didn't touch on as well is the foundations for the carport are pretty much the same as the CoreFlex. So you could do a driven, whatever your local availability is. We've done helicals. They were 24-inch shaft with a 48-inch blade on it. So definitely a lot bigger than what you're going to do for a CoreFlex. But we've pretty much done all the foundation options. Again, with this one, we always say economies of scale to kill things for the concrete, but a lot of your foundations will be some sort of grouted concrete pillar. That's the most common because for the size of the structure, there's not a lot of foundations. You're not doing 5,000 foundations. You're doing 50. Even that giant 1 megawatt structure down in Texas only had, I think, 28 foundations. So you're not as limited for cost effectiveness. You're not going to necessarily do a helical because they're cheaper to install, because the size of the helical you're putting in now becomes exponentially larger. Again, like I said, a 24-inch shaft with a 4-foot blade was what we did down in Jersey. So.
Awesome. So there are a couple questions here. One of them was a little bit earlier in the presentation, which is just a tolerance question.
Okay.
The drawing is 216.5 inches between two piles. If it is difficult to drill, can I make the two piles to 196.5 inches instead? Otherwise, we have to move the other two piles.
What were those numbers? So you're off by 20 inches?
0.5, yeah, roughly 20-inch difference.
20-inch, you'd probably have to get a special permission for that. If you're again within that 6-inch range, you could do that. So 20 inches, you'd have to actually get permission because you wouldn't be following the stamped design now. So you'd have to get permission for that. Now, it's very likely to be given. That one graph that showed that blue line with the location underneath it, that's for basically anything that falls on the blue line needs to be within those tolerances. But if you're under it, you can very likely get a variance. The problem with that now is you are no longer running under what's stamped. So you'd have to get it reevaluated and either have a letter come along with it saying this is approved, or whatever modifications had to be made to meet that requirement would have to be added as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question here is, are there any of your carport projects installed in the Edmonton area already accessible for a person for viewing it? Is there any around?
I don't think we have any in Alberta. We've got a lot of them in Ontario. We've got a few, but a lot of ours are down south. So Texas, New York, Jersey, California. But I've got some East Coast. We got a couple, but I don't think we have any in Alberta, do we? Majed?
I don't think so, Keith. Yeah, you are right. But if somebody would like to visit and he's like anytime soon close to GTA, we are more than happy to escort you guys to visit the site and like just have a look into it.
Yeah,
If
so
there's any- yeah.
Yeah, we could likely get you on a site. Just there isn't anything in Alberta right now. That's one advantage and disadvantage to us is we have such a huge area, and certain areas have more demand than others. And so, example, right now we are building 5 more carports in Texas this summer, on top of the the 1 megawatt one we already have down there. But they are, because we have such a wide area, they're not every area has everything.
Awesome. Well, still opportunity for the first one to be done in Alberta for somebody then. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in here. So if there are any that anybody wants to get asked here, please put them in the channel. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Polar for chatting with us today. Their racking is top notch, as you can see from everything we went over today. So please reach out to your Baywa rep if you have any specific questions that might pop up after this webinar. We encourage you all to check out the Polar racking products on our web shop. This is also the best place for specs, install manuals, inventory, and pricing. And also be sure to check out a full webinar schedule on our website.
Thanks. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, I am seeing a couple questions here just in regards to pricing. Anything pricing, please reach out to your Baywa representative and they'll be happy to sort you out with everything that way. I'm not seeing any other questions coming through, so I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you again for taking the time to learn with us and our friends at Polar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.